hoping it's not that.
Now wait until it's
Okay, our first item is the meeting agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Okay,
The personnel item under the agenda.
it's under. Okay, last time we were together, Commissioner Lawley had requested we move the action items to the beginning of the meeting. So item C, 1.1, is in fact the change to the governance policy that incorporates that requested change. He's provided a red line copy of the policy for your consideration.
My comment is that a lot of times we show up at these meetings, the action items are the most critical component of what we do here. Not directly in the presentation, but at the same time. Many of us are pushed to an agenda and, get fatigued after we stay here for a long time looking at presentations. We feel that we need to take the action items first as a priority over the other things. That's my reason for requesting this. Of course, we can change it back and forth that way.
I just don't understand, why does the template of agenda structure have to be in a governor's policy? That seems silly to me.
It doesn't, it just is part of the original policy that was put together.
I think our competitors, they could take out the template, and where you have the flexibility, wherever the commission, if they want to change it weekly.
The chairman can arrange with the general manager what the agenda is and go from there.
Yeah, I understand the importance of open records and all that stuff in there, but having a template of how your agenda is laid out is silly to me.
Well, it does help us to organize the meeting and understand what materials will be presented when. The categories are really what's important, the order is not.
Well, you can still do that without it being listed in the governor's policy. You can still just do.
Your prerogative on what you want to do.
So I guess for this meeting, do we just, or do we amend this to say,
You can amend it or table it, or leave it like it was. It was my recommendation to do this. Particularly for the last meeting, it was important. But, I've been on this commission for a year and a half now, something like that. And I get kind of worn down by lengthy audio, video presentations, and that was my reason.
Well, I don't have any problem with that, but just so if we're going to go all the trouble changing the governance policy, that's just to make it where this doesn't have to happen again. I mean, Pat, is that a big deal to reword that where the template doesn't have to be included, but the overall, what they're trying to accomplish, the government policy still will be intact, but you don't have a template in there now. Meetings like that. Maybe I'm just.
there has to be an agenda?
There has to be
There
an
has to be
agenda for each meeting.
that can or cannot be arranged depending on what type of meeting it is, right?
Yeah, it's just for the purposes of notice. But at a regular meeting, you're not restricted to the items on the agenda. That's just for special meetings. So if another matter needed to be brought up.
Ted, are these changes which you requested?
On the guidelines.
Do you have any problems with what's going through with it?
This is what we
This
said.
is what we were talking about last meeting. We can leave it like it is, and we just have to change it every time if it looks like. Problem is, I don't know the extent of some of these presentations, how long they're gonna be until I just go through and review the whole thing. And the material that's presented to us before the meeting. Then we'll have to come in here and may or may not make a change. So this just kind of, provides that change in the way we do things. So we get our real business out of the way first, is it's one of the important parts.
Should we go ahead and vote on this now, and then we can understand where we're going to be?
You're still changing it.
Yeah, I think just from a staff perspective, I think from an administrative perspective, it's helpful for us to know, to have an agenda format that we'll provide to you. And all you're doing here is just rearranging the agenda format. That's all we're doing. Nothing says that you can't, at the beginning of each meeting, move things around at any time. It's just purely for planning purposes and agenda planning that we have this in the policy.
Just know that in the future, if I see long, lengthy presentations in front of what I consider the real business of the commission, I'm going to change it around.
Well, no, this puts the.
I mean, if you don't choose to do this, that would be my approach.
Are you going to move that this be approved?
I can make that motion since it's my fault. I'm not moving to be approved as a modification to the governance policy.
So keep this being a 3-tab meeting, I'll second that.
I'm on the first one.
I don't think.
He's going fast.
Have any discussion? All those in favor of Ted's motion, say aye. Aye. Just FYI, the pension board just did exactly the same thing that Ted recommended, for exactly the same reasons Ted recommended. Identical.
Okay,
We'll be upset.
next item we have is the consent to closing Ronaldo Road. Pat, you want to quickly go over what we're doing here?
This was requested by the Riverport to facilitate their operations. They have a lot of material on site, they have a lot of truck traffic, and they wanted to close it and just use it as a private road. The only concern that OMU had in granting that consent was to make provision for its facilities out there. There was a transmission that was created back in 1982 that's pretty wide, but it didn't really authorize other like distribution facilities or water lines. In conjunction with this, we asked them to dedicate public utility easements to cover the facilities of OMU that are out there. They've now done that. We also attached today, because we just got this morning, the plat showing those easements. These are okay with Kim's department. Based upon that, there's no reason not to consent to this closing. And that's what's before you, a motion to approve the consent and authorize the chairman to sign the consent. Is there a question? Anybody have a question?
Sorry, what was that? Yeah.
And they'll still have access on the private road to get to the facilities in terms of the notice on the plat.
We requested a full survey before we approved everything appears to be well with surveys.
There are other steps they have to go through to close this road.
Yes, this consent is part of the process that goes through the city commission. City commission has to close the road.
That was, right, so you're not the last say.
But that's the group when you're happy for this.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All right, next item, C13, consolidation of production environmental analyst and production process engineer into a production environmental engineer position. Kevin, you want to tell us what's going on with this one?
Our existing environmental analyst is leaving us. He's on the agenda today. And as we looked at what we're going to do to fill that job, and as we look at the future, we apply the IRP and those things. The process engineer job has been open. There are some overlap in those jobs. The process engineer job is doing the engineering and the management of our environmental control system. The analyst is managing the compliance. So we've integrated those together, combined those tasks, so it will be a net reduction of one head count in this environmental engineer position who will both be doing the environmental compliance and permitting, as well as helping us do the engineering on the FGG SCR, the control equipment units that we're putting in. I feel like that's it's not uncommon to do that. And better service as we move forward in the future with production.
Can I see that rate stays the same?
Same pay rate as the process.
So we're actually, we've got an open job now that we're not going to fill.
Right.
But then this guy retires, this gentleman retires, and we will
He's
fill
resigning,
that
yeah.
with the.
Yeah. So we'll have 2 openings, we'll fill with 1 person, basically.
Net 1 headcount reduction, net reduction in payroll of the environmental analyst position. So that's
Your motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right, next item is your consent agenda items.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right, next item is our performance reports and presentations. First, we've got my report. And what I want to talk to you about is the weather. Believe it or not. Now, today's kind of a little bit more towards normal, but well, I'll tell you, the last month has been way, way, way above normal. So what you see here is for the month of December, a graph of the projected temperatures. And you can see we're in the 2 to 4 degrees above normal. We've actually been running a little bit more than that above normal. And snowfall or precipitation, you can see on the right. The next slide is what January is looking like. And January, we're looking at 0.5 to 1 degree above normal. Although the early projections coming in now for the first week in January are still calling for very warm weather. As a result of this, we've got a couple of things that are really putting pressure on the wholesale market and retail market here in Lawrenceville. Our retail energy demand was 6% below what we budgeted for November. I'm expecting December to have a higher deviation than we had in November because the December weather has been very, very mild. Unit 2, which just came off of a major outage, is now on standby because the power prices are so low in the marketplace that we cannot justify running it, and we will probably have it off until the first week in January, or maybe even later, Rob, right? Depending on the weather. And that creates problems for us because we don't burn any coal. We have coal contracts that require us to take a certain amount of coal per year, and there's all kinds of ramifications associated with that. So coal inventories are increasing. Our costs to carry that coal are increasing, and so it creates problems. But we don't control the weather, so we're trying to do the best we can. One of the things that Kevin has done is as we go into the holiday season, normally with vacations, we work a fair amount of overtime for the people that are going to be there to cover for those people who are on vacation. We've eliminated all that overtime, and we're going to try to struggle through with the skeleton staff over the holiday to try to take advantage of the fact that we're only running one unit. Natural gas prices. When I wrote this on Monday, they had traded below $1.90. Now they're below $1.80. Natural gas prices are as low as they have been since, or lower than they have been since 1993. So we have very, very low natural gas prices. The next page shows you where the natural gas prices have gone. You can see back in 2012, in the summer, we had, in April of 2012 was a prior low. Now we're looking at prices, the bottom of that graph is $2. We're now below that. So we are definitely seeing very low natural gas prices. This is the most important thing, the next one, which is the amount of natural gas in storage. And this is a graph that the industry uses to look at the range of storage. The black line represents the average The gray shaded area is kind of the historical variation, and the yellow dotted line is where we're at today. You can't see it very clearly, but we're above the all-time historical levels of storage today, and that's what's driving. Nobody's using any gas because there's no, your homes aren't requiring the amount of heat. We're not producing electricity, natural gas, and so there's a glut of natural gas in storage. And this will have long-term effects, because if we don't draw that gas out of the storage fields this winter, there'll be no place to put the gas that's being produced in the spring and summer. And that will further put pressure to the downside on natural gas prices. And as you know, the reason we're interested in natural gas prices is because as natural gas prices decline, electric prices decline as well. So the weather has not been very friendly to us. The second item that I wanted to report on was our progress on the water production modernization plan. The RFPs did go out the first week of December. I believe, Kevin, you guys had the pre-bid meeting yesterday. And we had, how many attendees? 6. So we had 6 engineering companies, all very qualified, show up at it was a mandatory pre-bid meeting. The alternative design proposals would be due on January the 6th. I don't know that we'll receive any. Did you get any indication?
We had some discussion about it. Nobody committed one or the other, but they are very aware that it is an option, and clarified that they're welcome to submit an alternative design, but they have to also submit a design for the base bid as well. So there was some discussion. I don't know if we'll get anything.
And I think the feedback Kevin got was that the timeline that we have outlined in the RFP in terms of the actual performance of the engineering work and delivery of the specifications for construction is acceptable to all the bidders. So it looks like we're on time, on track for that work. So with that, that's all I wanted to report on today. Any questions?
Is the fact that we're not running Unit 1 helping us out as far as our limits on our emissions, as far as what we projected to do or required to limit to environmental protection?
So we're not running Unit 2, which is a larger unit, so we're running the smaller unit, and it will ultimately consume less nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide allowances as a result of that. But I don't think it'll be very material.
This last question, actually this is a request. I'd like to put this before
Yeah, Kevin. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to Lynn. Financial report.
For our financials for November 2015, the consolidated electric system, the net income was up 12.9% above budget fiscal year to date. The expenses are slightly down below how much the revenues are down. On the retail system, for the current month, megawatt hours were 11% below budget, but fiscal year to date, actual retail forms without the ECA adjustment were up 12% above budget. On the wholesale system, megawatt hour sales for the month were down 83.7%, but October was up 52% because the outages were delayed, and so our budget was based on the outages being more in October.
Well, that 83%, it's natural gas prices.
Yeah, no,
Right.
it's a big number,
Fiscal year to date, we're down 43% below budget. The telecommunications were up 61,000 better than budget fiscal year to date, and water system were 395,000 better than budget. And then you can see at the bottom down there, the bottom graph, we're chart, we're 6.6% expected to be better than budget at the end of the fiscal year. And on the consolidated, the retail without the ECA adjustment performance will be 6.1%, hopefully below budget. Wholesale will be about 20% below budget, and telecommunications 62,000 better than budget, and water 391,000 better than budget. We did get our 5.3 million of bond funds yesterday.
You know, I think the 83%, 40+% below budget on wholesale, the way that manifests to the customer is through the ECA balance. And you'll note down here at the bottom, if we look at the ECA balances, yeah, right above the table.
Way different than what it was expected to be.
You can see we're seeing a pretty big variation in that, and what we're doing is we're eating into the over collection that we had, and now starting into a scenario where we're going to be owing, or customers are going to be owing us money as a result of these losses, lower revenues as compared to the cost to operate the units in the wholesale market. So that's how it manifests itself to the customer. We're not recovering all of our fixed costs for a portion of the generating plant that's necessary to serve the load, and consequently we are passing through those unrecovered fixed costs into the ECA.
We dropped 1.5 million.
Now, ultimately, what that means for you as commissioners is, at some point, we'll be coming to you asking you to raise the ECA rate up in order to make sure that it stays within that plus or minus $10 million. Well, I mean, when you get close to 10, as long as other reserves are adequate to meet your financial metrics, we're okay, but it means that your customers owe you a lot of money, and as opposed to increasing the rate to start collecting that amount of money on a more ratable basis, it means you have to increase the rate a little bit more.
We're just doing those timing those proposed rates we had, where we were going to use some of that ECA to ease that.
Use some of the reserve funds. It'll be part of the budget process. We're looking at that to raise the ECA rate June 1st.
Yeah, we're evaluating that issue, how to use reserves against upcoming capital investments that we have to make for environmental spends and things like that. And we'll hope to have a better feel for that at the end of January or so. Because we need to have that finalized before we go into the detailed budgeting for next year.
In the amount of January, it's even worse.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some cold weather come in here and start to draw some of that gas out of storage and get the forward prices down. There's a little silver lining in this. We have a very active hedging program, as you know, our hedge plan, and our hedges, since we sold power a long time ago at much higher rates than today, we've got about an $8 million gain in our hedge. That's $8 million that we're not having to pass through the customer. So that hedging program is working as it's designed to work. And we're very actively managing that every day. All right, the next item we have is our compliance report. We had, we had 4 compliance activities this month. 3 F1112 and F13. Either I or JT rated us has been in compliance, meets requirements. The last item, F1.4, Commission Legal Counsel. I did rate item 2 of that, which reads, the Commission is ultimately responsible for hiring and terminating legal counsel. As a general practice, the Commission and General Manager shall participate jointly in hiring and terminating legal counsel. The General Manager and the Commission shall be responsible for evaluating legal counsel's performance. And the reason I rated it as needs action, because we've never really done a formal or informal evaluation of legal counsel. Quite frankly, this is again one of the legacy things that has been in the governance policies. And as I've tried to think through how we would evaluate legal counsel, I'm struggling to figure out how to do it in a way that would be comprehensive and meaningful. So I'm taking that as an action item to come back to you with a recommendation on how to go about doing the evaluation. I welcome any comments or suggestions that you might have, commissioners, on how to do that.
Didn't y'all do that school board? Or was there a formal evaluation? You said it was.
This is something that's passed through here a couple of times, right? And we
Yeah,
really never have noted it before.
Right.
Every year, we had to approve legal counsel again, and there was a short discussion in closed session usually before that was done, because it was a personnel item. But it wasn't anything formal, it was anything written at that particular point.
Yeah.
There's going to be a really good evaluation.
Yeah, I'm going to call John Miner. John Miner was part of the architect of this plan, and ask him what other utilities do, and maybe he has some ideas. If we can't come up with good ideas, then maybe we can ask you to amend the policy. Because I don't like to have policy provisions that we're not adhering to.
I think we did formally approve it every year, though.
When they approved the treasurer and the law officers and when they came.
Yeah, came up with this yearly.
Pat, maybe you have some ideas on how we might go about this.
Billy would be glad to meet with you all, evaluate if you want to do it.
That's guy right there.
Well, there's a couple that maybe we go the other way. All right, any other questions on any of the policy compliance reports? All right. Back in October, the commission approved the proposed title change of the communications technician to senior telecommunications technician, and that was the motion. Since that time, there's been some discussion as to the classification of this position as to whether it should be civil service or non-civil service. The discussion we had, I remind the commissioners that Commissioner wanted to understand whether someone who is non-civil service had a effectively the same due process as civil service employees. And history on this issue, I think we provided you some information on the history of this issue. It is within your prerogative to determine whether or not any employee is a civil service employee or a non-civil service employee. The reason why we want this position to be non-civil service is because it is a new business. We believe that from a long-term strategic perspective, it makes sense for us to no longer have that civil service requirement for the purposes of both hiring and for disciplinary action as we move forward. So we're still on the same page where staff is recommending that you approve the position as non-civil service. All employees at OMU have an opportunity through the disagreement policy, disagreement procedure that we have in our employee manual, that if there is an issue that they disagree with management on, they can appeal it through up the chain of command and ultimately to this commission for a hearing. And as anything that the Civil Service Commission would normally rule on relative to disciplinary action or employment, you have the same rights. Ultimately, that employment issues are your responsibility and your authority at OMU, not mine. So we can recommend employees, we cannot terminate them, we cannot hire them, nor can we accept retirements without your approval. And that's why you see those on the agenda each month. So with that, Michael, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, Tony, you had mentioned a couple of things about what the city had done, and in looking at the classifications, you understand the civil service and the process that's afforded there from a due process perspective. Then you have the rest of our employees, or what we call employment at will, which means we can disposition those employees, hire and terminate at will with them. And basically, we have a lot of our policies and procedures within the company that kind of warrant how we do that. That we're an equal employment opportunity provider, that we do not have what I call workplace discrimination, but we can let those employees go. And as long as we're not discriminating against them based upon Title VII coverage like sex, religion, age, those types of things, or any federal or state guidelines, then we have that flexibility to scale up and down as we see fit. Some of the provisions I think you were looking for is potentially taking that exempt population or non-civil service population and giving them some form of civil service protection. Whether it's inside civil service, because that's what the city does. They have 3 classifications. And I'm not really sure how that would work, and we can talk to Pat about that, as far as giving or granting this position some form of civil service protection rights. But there are options on the table to discuss on that. But keeping employment at will is something I would definitely recommend. And from a hiring, and like Terry mentioned, from a hiring and a termination perspective, every single one of those positions is reviewed by management, director, general manager, and if there's an issue, legal counsel, and then of course can be discussed with you in closed session if we have one. And I've been here 7 years and we've had 3 dispositions on exempt employees, 2 job eliminations, and 1 performance issue. But that's just kind of, I wanted to explain a little bit to make sure everybody understood kind of how we're broken up with the civil service and that.
You know, Terry and I understand everyone has said that we want to move to not having more non-civil service. So do we have a systematic plan to move everybody to non-civil service?
No.
Well, if we exceed that, then why don't we?
I apologize if I misled you on that.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood.
Our goal is that the telecom business itself would not have any civil service. For the other businesses, the water and the electric business.
Continue business as usual.
Business as usual.
Correct.
And I guess that was one of the things that kind of confused me a little bit when Pat sent us the information about it. And we had all technicians, all sorts of technicians, different plans. And they were intentionally left out of sort of that at-will population when they were sometime in the past.
Well, those were civil service positions.
Right.
Yes,
So,
there
but I mean, when the big reclassification and the opportunity, because I mean, everybody was in civil service at one time, right? Except for
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
And then at some point, there was a bunch of reclassification done, but the technicians were sort of, seemed like the line at which it was drawn, to me a little bit anyway, the job classification stuff like that. And so this is technician. I mean, is it, so we're gonna have technicians in some business units that are
Civil service and in the telecom, we're recommending they do civil service. And again, that's within your purview.
I'm yeah, I've been
I just don't think separation. The telecom still falls under the electric umbrella. It's not really a separate, you can say that a new business, but it's not separate from electric.
Well, it's authorized under the statutes that allow us to operate an electric utility. But as I've mentioned to you in the past, to the extent that we're successful in building that business, especially the fiber to the home business, and we want to spin that business off, you decide at some point that there's more value in selling that business to a for-profit company, having civil service employees could complicate that activity because they don't work for for-profit companies. civil service is a public entity employment classification. The corollary in private business is a union. So, you know, I don't know how you would transition employees that, if we sold the business, for example, and this is purely hypothetical, if we sold the business to a, Time Warner or to AT&T or whoever, and it came with a bunch of employees that were civil service, well, that civil service protections would I guess, evaporate.
Anytime the positions are eliminated, they just go away.
But if we sold the business with the people in the business that operate.
How would that work?
The question is, everybody in telecom receives a check from the same account that you receive yours from, you receive yours from. And if I was that person and I wanted to test that theory for some reason or another, that would be my first argument. Is that I got my check from the same people that the power company gets their check from, same account, same signature, same everything, and I better be treated exactly like the power people. I agree.
We've set up a telecom cash account that we could pay out of every year.
No, I'm just saying that would be, in my opinion, the test. If we say that you're just trying to do something for the, not the benefit of the employee, but for the benefit of the company, if it is, whether it's for a benefit to have civil service or not have civil service, obviously there must be a benefit not have civil service. I just think if it's, if this same person was doing the same job on the electric side than the civil service.
Except there isn't the same job.
Not exactly, but the same kind of level of education and experience and responsibility.
It'd be much easier just to remove all the technical.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see, but I know that's not something we can do.
I just think you're seeing a lot of position that is that problem.
Well, and again, it's your prerogative. You can unilaterally make a decision to carve out telecom that we're asking you to do, or you can say, no, we want all employees treated the same way. But it's not, I hear what you're saying about all employees wanting to be treated the same way, but it's your decision.
I understand it's not a decision.
There's no employees that are here lobbying to say, I want to be treated the same way. If we hire people to come into the telecom business that you authorize, with the understanding that they're not going to be civil service, then that's fine under the law.
Is it fine under the law?
I think after reading Pat's discussion about this and your counter discussion, if you would like, I kind of agree with what Ted has just said. I think we may be opening up a can of worms for one single position. And I prefer to leave that single position as a civil service since it's a technician level. I just think that's the above board, honest, best thing to do.
Can I make a comment as the business owner?
Based upon previous.
How dare you?
You're not the business owner. I was leaving behind, but ratepayers of the business
Based upon
owner.
what previous
Yeah.
commissions have done.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, man, there are a few things I want to interject. First of all, as the business owner, I would argue that the technicians over there do not consider telecommunications technicians equivalent to them. And I don't know if Tim feels differently about that, but telecommunications technicians, being the entrepreneurial aspect of this company, it is a very different environment for them. They are working with technologies. Their positions are evolving. The demands on their jobs are evolving almost daily, where a water tech pretty much does what a water tech has done probably the last 10 years. I don't know. Tell me if I'm out of line with this at all, Tim, but electrical tech has a pretty well-defined job, and that's what that job is, and probably will remain that job for the next 10, 20 years. These telecom techs, we're setting a precedent for an entire division of this group that is going to continually evolve. For the fiber to the home business, I need these guys to work on commercial installations, new technology coming in, residential installations, and I really can't have restrictions that would say, I'm sorry, you can't hire the most qualified candidate because they felt they didn't want to take the civil service test, or this test doesn't even exist right now. We're going to have to create a specialized test because it really doesn't exist. And none of my telecom peers in the state, from my understanding, have any kind of civil service requirements. So I'm just speaking as the business owner trying to operate in a very entrepreneurial environment. You're trying to put very legacy, very old constraints on an environment that is not that way. They're not the same thing.
Now,
At the end of the day, it's still your decision on what you want to do.
What are we gonna do?
Because communications, I deal a little bit with that, and it is different. It's so much more evolving.
But I guess, take Chris' argument, I mean, Tim and Kev, everybody got the same argument that we can't qualify people because of civil service. If that's your argument, then we should do it across the board.
I would be in favor of that, but that's your choice.
And you gotta get back to singling out a single position, and then, because if you want to argue the merits, the non-merits of civil service, I'll open and have that discussion, do it totally. I'm just not interested
Now,
in
what would
taking a
happen,
single one position.
what would happen from a legal perspective if we decided to go away from civil service? What would happen with existing employees that are civil service employees?
They're all grandfathered in, as long as these places.
That's what
Say that
it
new in the future employees would be no civil service.
Yes, in the positions that are no longer.
there'd be a lengthy transition until
Sure.
the retirement, then you'd be away from it. But it'd be a couple decades.
Have they ever, as a commission, ever considered
Defer that on it, I don't know.
getting away from the civil service?
No, I don't think so.
Chris, have you thought about changing the title to
Well,
telecommunications engineer?
Well, actually, I was just going to mention that if the commission is really hung up on the technician title, the other plausible solution is to rename this telecommunications specialist. Pretty much the same things as I've described in the job description, but there would not be that direct contrast to, well, they're technicians over there. Well, you're a telecom specialist. If that's the type of thing that we need to do to move this forward, I'm certainly open to that.
And I think we talked about that, haven't we? And I thought there were issues associated with,
Well, my issue was well, I don't know if the term I use, but basically it's the same job, we're just changing the title. The key here is that what you had quoted on technicians is there's a couple things you can look at. There are guidelines that we looked at in 2010 that said if it's not managerial, or if it is managerial, professional, or highly technical, we would recommend to the commission it's non-civil service. But it didn't mean hourly. And then when you look at the law, the KRS statute, you could, and Pat might help us out with this if I'm spoken wrong, please let me know. You could take one, like say a maintenance position at the power plant. That whole entire classification is civil service. But then in another portion of the business side, that whole classification is non-civil service. You have the purview to look at that classification of position. So if it is a different position, you have the right to do it. I don't think we have a little bit of what you're calling more fair and consistent. But I think by KRS statutes, the way I understand it, as long as that's a different classification of position, you have the right to afford it, civil service protection or not. Am I wrong in that, Pat?
You do it by classification.
And this is a different classification.
And I know we've said that this is a single position, but this is setting a precedent for a growing piece of our business. So however this gets classified has certainly strong future implications.
yeah, I mean, I understand where the comments that you guys have made, and one of the things that I have concerns about is with this remaining in civil service or becoming a civil service position. As you know, we've talked about the fact that as we retire units at Elmer Smith, we go to automated meter reading. We have a number of qualified employees that could be trained to do the work that Chris needs, but may have difficulties passing the test, or may not choose to take the test, to qualify. And we'll effectively eliminate them from consideration in helping us to achieve the reduction that we're seeing coming up through attrition by moving people around. I think it takes away an option that we have, a tool in our tool chest, so to speak, on how to manage that attrition issue as well. And I heard, despite the fact that I think Pat has provided some information to the contrary, I do believe that the civil service requirements limit the population of people that are available as employees or potential employees to OMU. There are a lot of very talented people that just don't test well. And they won't sit for a test.
And I believe that to be the case. I mean, I work also with telecommunication tax. I'm not sure they would consider a job.
I agree. But all I'm saying, Tony, is that here's an opportunity that you have to make a change that doesn't affect the people that are, even if we change the whole organization, would be grandfathered. You can make a change now, here, going forward in this division, and resolve that issue. And it's within your prerogative to do that.
I think this is the first time I've heard you say that you all had considered naming it something other than a technician position. What were the discussions there? And I was that presented to the commission before, is that we had this.
We did it between the last two meetings, so this was the first time we met with you. But that was definitely an option on Terry's tables. We'll look at it, expand, look at the job description, and see if you want to title it to something different. And of course, going back to the guidelines, you can look at something like a specialist. That's fine. It's doing the same job, which is exactly what Tony, I think, would say, is that it's doing the same job, and you can call it what you want. It's more of an hourly, lower pay grade position, and it should be afforded, I'm thinking where he's going, should be afforded civil service status.
I've got hung up on the word technician, because
Yeah,
someone says, you know, Ted and Kevin, and they have certain people work underneath them, they're called technicians, and I don't know exactly what's the difference in their ability to fit the
No,
It's a broad
It's a
broad
fair
category.
point, but I don't think, Dr. Maddox, I don't think it addresses the underlying issue that we're trying to get you guys to understand. I don't care if you call them bottle washer or whatever.
So that's the demonstration that all future tests, we announce their service starting now.
We could do that, and I would support that. I don't know. I think the employee, what is it, the Civil Service Association probably would want to weigh in on that as well.
Just my counsel on that, if we're going to actually entertain looking at removing civil service or dispositioning away from civil service, whatever that terminology might be, that we take some time and truly look at that transition at a holistic level, not at a piecemeal level. Piecemeal level scares me too. And that will where I have to sit down with Pat and probably even understand it better myself, get with the city and figure out how they get away. At this point, I don't think that's what we recommend you, but if that's the option that you want us to pursue, of course we can look at it.
Well, I'd just like to do something other than the motion that's on the floor.
Well, there's really no motion on the
Well, I
floor
mean,
right now.
we're playing.
Then you can make it, you can right now make it civil service, non-civil service, we move forward, or you can tell us that you can't move forward until you figure out the bigger picture.
It's hard for me to think that I'm smart enough that in a 30-minute conversation that we can unravel this. It's taken us this long to get to where we are. I think it takes a whole lot more study than what we've given thus far. That we just need. And I can see your point and what you're trying to do.
What if we call it a
Trying to
specialist?
accomplish.
It sounds like if we call it a specialist, then there's no issues.
You call him a scientist, you call
You
him
can call anybody an engineer, as long as we're not doing engineering.
Well said by an engineer. Randy, is that an accurate? That's true.
I'm kind of wondering, are we tying Chris's hands and getting this position filled? Yes.
If you look at the
That's
big
the
picture.
problem. Ultimately, that's
what
the
I'm
problem.
wondering, that if we,
Yeah, I mean, and look,
If there was some urgency in this position?
Our-
Not about an emergency, but.
Yeah,
I'll say
Well, certainly we got
Oh,
some
yeah.
things out there that we need to look at.
So I think you look at them as two separate issues.
our telecom, our fiber to the home program that we're getting ready to, start looking at customers on, looks like it's going to be very successful. And so we're probably going to be expanding that operation because it's going to be successful in other areas as well. And so, yeah, we need to get this person on board sooner rather than later. And we'd like to not have that constraint that civil service requires us to test to get that person on board.
You feel like in any way that's going to open up a can of worms from the Civil Service Commission to come in and reevaluate this and
Civil
reevaluate what
service,
we're
you
doing?
mean a commission or association?
Yeah, Association.
Association, we don't have We don't barter with them or anything of that nature. But yeah, they could definitely file some form of a complaint, or it might cause more of what I would consider a morale issue. But I don't think it would.
We talking about the one position?
The one position. No one's called me from the association or any civil service employees. I've had a bunch of people inquire about why the position's on hold, and I've definitely explained it to them why it's on hold. I don't know.
But can you go through the civil service, advertise, do your testing, then you interview the assignment?
I can ask for a waiver of test.
You decide they're not qualified.
Yes, if I go through all bands that have passed the test.
So Chris is only speculating he can't find anybody based on his experience. That doesn't mean you couldn't actually put an application and find somebody qualified.
I just stated, and I want to be on the record, I want the most qualified candidate, regardless of their thoughts.
I'm saying, but you're speculating that they won't, that civil service is hampering that.
Well, I know what it's hampering, I know what it is hampering. It's hampering potentially qualified employees that we have, whose positions ultimately will most likely be eliminated due to technology, either automated meter reading and/or retirement.
You're saying they can't pass the test.
I'm saying that in some cases, people have told us that they will not sit for the test.
That's a choice.
But please understand.
I'm sorry, can't hold their hands for life.
Saying he can't, he's trying to get more qualified.
But please understand too, because we have lots of civil service, very qualified civil service employees. So yes, the process can yield excellent employees, of which we have a lot. It just gives, and you've been through it. It just sometimes you might not be able to get exactly what you want, and that's perfectly fine. So there's kind of mentioning some of the pitfalls as far as this being more of an entrepreneurial business, and how you can. It's more conducive to. Being at will is more conducive to today's environment. But we understand that the positives and the pitfalls of civil service.
So, it's on the agenda, discussion item, you either choose to take action or not take action. I think we would like you to take action so that we can get this person on board. You could always say it's going to be civil service and then come back later and make it a non-civil service position.
But if you do that, then it's.
That person's grandfather. Yes.
After they're hired.
Yes, and there's a year.
And they elect us.
There's a year probationary period, so I don't know how that would work. Mr. Grandfather then.
Well, I came in thinking that I was just going to leave it like it is, it's not, it's a civil service position, but Chris's enthusiasm for this and the time frame and administrations, it seems like you're all really unified. There's no discussion where you're not unified, it doesn't sound like today. So I'd like to make a motion that we make this a non-civil service position. If I don't get a second, that's fine. At least we got a motion on the floor to go up or down.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No.
Okay, motion does not carry, so you want to, does someone else want to make a motion that it be a civil service position?
Make a motion to be a civil service position.
Second.
No second, so there's no action.
I make a motion to find us another way.
What if we change the name to specialist? I'll go back to, if the title was specialist, wouldn't we have this issue?
I would have to see how, I'd have to see how that job description reads compared to that.
Well, it wouldn't change the job description at all, so.
They read the same.
That's just a matter.
And that's effectively why.
But is that kind of what we're sort of talking about? Maybe.
All right, well, we will table this and be back to you next month, unfortunately. No, we will, that means we'll have to stop our hiring process until you guys make a decision.
There was no, just make sure I understand. One of you two make a motion? There was no second?
I made a motion, so no seconds, there's no action.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Where are we in the process? We advertised the position.
I've got all the resumes. We have notified every single candidate that submitted a resume and have told them the position's on hold until further notice. So we want to at least make sure we did that.
What did the ad say? Did it say one way or the other?
It said, well, see, the advertisement is the key, it's the crossroad. Either advertise for a test or advertise to submit resumes. We advertise to submit resumes. So if you decide it's civil service, which is perfectly fine, I'll notify all these candidates to put in an application for a test.
Can you ask those candidates individually if they would still be interested in this civil service?
Sure. I mean, I got to call 100 people. But yeah. I wouldn't have a problem doing it if that's what you want to do. And from an HR perspective, we could staff it either way. No problem.
Well, I'm sensitive to risk getting people who want to come in there, not comfortable with what to do.
Just seems like it's a little bit of a slippery slope here.
I can understand
It's
that.
like that woman we think about it. We can discuss it in between.
Well, we'll try to provide you some additional information to help you make a decision on it. Unfortunately, Chris, maybe we could hire a temporary or something to get moving. And with some, maybe we could look at the resumes and see if there's a temporary, someone qualified that we could hire as a temporary that might either sit for the test or be willing to interview for the permanent position. And that way we can get somebody on board. Does that sound all right with you guys?
Yeah, I think Chris is doing a great job in telecommunications. He doesn't like every month and month, and it sounds like everything's going well. And I mean, I personally want to do anything to impede the progress in that business. Thank you.
All right. One other item under other business. It is payday. We want to thank each of the commissioners for your service to OMU and to the city of Owensboro. And please take your check in gratitude to that. I will tell you that it is the custom of this commission in the past to donate the proceeds or your salaries to a deserving charity. And it's your charity of your choosing.
Dr. Mason suggested the Wendell Foster Center.
Wendell Foster Center, big cool.
All right.
Doris, these and sign bags.
They were written on the account with no money in it.
Do you need a motion for that?
No, it's good for me. It's fine.
Well, I'm sure the Wendell Foster Foundation appreciates that, and again, we appreciate all your hard work and dedication.
As a new person, does this rotate around to different charities every year?
Oh, it was a different one last year, wasn't it?
Tino shelter.
Tino shelter. Where do you carry that?
Good.
Tino shelter.
That's good.
Yeah, we've done a good call.
Also want to congratulate our chairman. He was reappointed by the city commission. So one thing you guys need to be thinking about is in January we'll have elections for board positions again, and appreciate it if you give some thought to what positions you'd like to serve in on the board for the coming year. All right. Any other business? If not, I'd like to ask you to make a motion to go to closed session to discuss personnel matters pursuant to 61-810-1F, pending litigation pursuant to KRS 61-810-1C, and matters which are required to discuss in privacy pursuant to KRS 61-810-1K, including but not limited to KRS 61-878-1CI and KRS 61-872-6.
So.
All those in favor say aye.
You too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, unless I get run over, it would be pretty good.
Yeah.